Hey guys, we are on the final standard, if you can believe it, on the unit that seemed like it lasted 100 years. So here we go, 2.12. This is effects of migration. So we'll go ahead and blow this up for you so you can get your notes set up, Cornell style, if you choose. So there we go. So 2.12, effects that should be actually of migration. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the effects on countries of origin. So those countries that immigrants are leaving, we'll go over the negatives and positive factors. And then we'll go on effects on those receiving countries that are getting those immigrants. And again, we'll do the negatives and positives. And then there at the bottom, the last point is historic migration. And your two vocabulary words are going to be brain drain and remittances there on the right. All right, so pause the video if you need to set up your notes. And here we go. All right, beginning with effects on countries of origin. So this is going to be any negative effects that a country is going to have from people leaving. Okay, so we're going to relate this to ESP and N throughout. So an economic reason is a negative reason is dependency ratio problem. Okay, so what that means is that they have a lot of young people leaving their country. That is going to leave a lot of old people, and it could possibly leave a lot of young people. And so that's going to give you a dependency ratio problem, right? That's where working class is leaving elderly and young people behind. Okay, and that can be a problem for the economy. A social negative effect, the S there, is going to be just a family traditional problem. I put an example there, is going to be China's rural to urban issue. So you can see the map here where most of the Chinese are starting to move into those economic and technical development zones, which are going to be in the big cities, right? And so they're leaving those farmlands. So that can have a huge strain on some of those cities. And obviously, a lot of Chinese that were living in the rural areas were farmers, and they're not doing that trade anymore, can also be a problem. So your vocabulary word here is brain drain. Make sure you know what that means. That is migration out of a country that's made up of really highly skilled people. Okay, so for an example is when people migrate to like developed countries, say like Great Britain and the United States, for education to study, say, medicine and engineering, that leaves a brain drain in the country that they're leaving. So we'll look at a map here which shows major brain drain countries and major brain gain countries. So if you can see here, the major drains are going to be in black, okay? And then the major gains are going to be in green. So we see countries like the United States, Australia, even Canada that are getting a brain gain. So they're getting a lot of people coming in for those education. But we see like India is huge for brain drain because many people from India leave to go seek higher education. So just make sure you understand that concept of brain drain. All right, next we're going to do the positive effects on people leaving a country. Okay, so pretty commonsensical is a relief from overcrowding. Okay, they're improving their lives. So a lot of people leaving a country are going from usually a stage 3 in the DTM country to a stage 4 or 5, and they're improving their lives. Okay, so you want to think about that DTM model and that Zelensky model. Remember, that's where you have actual movement within each stage of the demographic transition model. So in this case, you have, again, migrants leaving from stage 2, possibly stage 3 countries, and they're going to those stage 4 and 5 countries. So they are improving their lives. Okay, and there's just a quick picture of the Zelensky model. We are going to make sure you get a handout for this to put on the back of your notes that you're taking today. Okay. All right, well, let's switch over to receiving countries. We're going to talk about negative issues. So this is where immigrants are coming into and those negative effects. And we're also going to talk about ESPM and how this applies as well. So conflicts between immigrants and the native citizens that live there are always going to happen. This has been all the way back to history when immigration began. So a social component that you can list there in your notes is you're going to have language barriers, right? You're going to have even conflict of religious beliefs, okay? You see a lot of culture actually changing in Germany due to Syrian refugees, okay, because of those two big things, language barriers and conflict in religious beliefs. Most Germans are Christian and Syrian refugees are Muslims. And so a lot of the culture in Germany has changed because of the influx of those immigrants. Another negative effect could be political, and that can be any kind of discrimination law. So I have put there a picture of help wanted, no Irish apply. So countries sometimes pass laws and businesses follow practices that actually discriminates against immigrants. And this discrimination against the Irish in the United States happened in the early 1900s. And these kinds of signs appeared all over large US cities where they had a huge number of Irish immigrants. Okay. All right, now let's look at effects on receiving countries that are positive. Okay, so social can be cultural contribution. So diversity sometimes is seen as a very, very positive thing when people of other cultures bring over new ideas, they bring over new food, new traditions, and even new entrepreneurial business ideas. Okay, it can be related to economic, as a lot of immigrants are actually really highly motivated to work and do jobs that, say, in the United States, a lot of Americans don't want to do. And a great example is a lot of the agricultural work that is done by migrants. And then your vocabulary word there is remittances. And that is where immigrants in a country actually are working and sending money back to their home country where their families might be. And that is obviously a positive because it is helping those home countries. Okay. So, and obviously their families. All right, let's quickly look at historic migration and wrap this up. So there's two main great migrations in the United States. One's going to be the Great Migration from the South, and then we'll talk about the other one in just a sec. So after World War I, African Americans started leaving the South in droves. And there's three main reasons for that we can apply to ESPM. A political reason is because these Jim Crow laws, which were discriminatory against African Americans and also brought on a lot of violence, pushed African Americans out, and they went up north. You can see that on the map there. They went up north, and then they went out west, seeking jobs. So they were pushed out from these discriminatory laws, but they were pulled in to jobs in the northern and southern cities. And then obviously a social problem would be, or a social reason would be because of racial violence. Okay. So they were escaping severe racial discrimination, violence, and then again, they were being pulled out to a lot of factory jobs that were available in those northern cities. All right, now let's look at the second historic migration. Okay, this is actually a great migration to the South, and this was after World War II. A lot of people started leaving that Rust Belt up here, right? Because it started to dry up. There was less jobs available. And so there was a few things that started happening. There was a huge fast highway system that was being built that increased the ability to travel and quicker travel. So people were being pulled into the South because there was a lot of new job development down there with the defense industry. Another really interesting thing that was starting to happen during this time period was air conditioning was invented. And so people thought, if I can have climate control in my house, I think I can handle living in the South. So people wanted to leave those harsh winters up in the Rust Belt in those northern cities and go down into the Sun Belt. And just to give you a quick idea of the amount of people that move from those northern cities in the Midwest to the Sun Belt down here, from 1950 to 2016, Arizona alone's population went from like 750,000 to over 6 million. Pretty crazy, huh? Okay, we are officially done with Unit 2. Going to leave it in the dust, and you guys are going to ace that test next week. Okay, guys, take care. Bye.